After a 1-hour-long discussion with Derek Minor about his The Trap album, we took another hour to dive into some heavy questions. The Trap and the conversation about it unveiled the hardships of a disenfranchised African American community as they struggled to fly high above the trap by any means. Coming into this interview, I found another opportunity. Let's have an honest and nuanced conversation about race. Yes, not an original idea, but let's do something a little different. Let's pretend for a moment that you, not a person of color, had the opportunity to sit down with a black person and ask them anything without recourse. What would you ask? It is in this vein that Derek Minor and I spoke about racial stereotypes, misconceptions, and solutions to help people understand each other better. Instead of shouting and arguing, we used it as a teachable moment that takes many of the rebuttals towards the African American community and gives a more thoughtful answer. It is also important to note, and he acknowledges it as well, that Derek Minor does not speak for all black people. He is aware that some people may agree with the rebuttals and that others may even fall somewhere in the middle. This is his take and interpretation towards the questions being asked. So without further ado, Rapzilla presents a black and white conversation about race. All right, so what is problematic about this sentence? I have a black friend, so I can't be racist.
Because the fact that you said that means that you're misinformed. One, we're talking culture here. So again, you can have racist ideologies against someone and be best of friends with them, and you don't even know you're being racist. Like most of the time, when people think racism, they think the Ku Klux Klansman. And to be honest, that guy, I don't even care about that dude. I see him coming a mile away. I know he stay over there. I'll stay where I'm at. We'll leave each other alone. And that guy has very little power, quote unquote. This is the dangerous guy. The guy that's the Ku Klux Klansman, that is the politician, but no one knows he's the Klansman. He's a politician. That guy is dangerous because everyone gives him the benefit of the doubt and says, oh man, he's making these laws. And, his racist ideologies won't go into the lawmaking. Like when you think about, we've seen it now. Politicians have literally created whole bases off of stroking racist sentiment in people. And the idea that they won't affect the laws is mind blowing to me. So I say all that to say, just because you have a black friend doesn't mean that it's like. So we say all that, but then there's the other person who's the most dangerous. Is the person that has a racist ideology and doesn't even know that it's racist. So the person that doesn't realize that they may be a well-intended person, but the byproduct of some things that they believe that they haven't worked through, that's a dangerous person because they honestly don't see it at all. And I think we have to give people grace to be able to grow. We have to give people grace to be able to improve, and we also have to be patient with people to educate them. But also, those people have to be able to be pliable and realize that they don't know everything. And I think so. That whole "I have a black friend" doesn't mean that your ideology still couldn't be racist about him. And here's another thing I would say: a lot of black people, I have friends, I have people around me that are white that say some of the most offensive things all the time. But sometimes I just don't say something just because. I've been in scenarios on the road, or even churches that have brought me out and treated me like a king. Like I had someone say some of the most racist things to me, and he didn't even know he was being racist. He was literally clueless. Like you could tell, he was saying those things to me as if, like, like as if I should be as if I should connect with those things and be like, oh yeah, I agree with that. And it was some of the most racist stuff. I'll tell the story. I was at this church, and um, this is crazy. So I was at a church, and this man took me out to dinner. We were at his church. He took me out to dinner. We're having a great time, man. Really nice guy. And he's talking about his wife being pregnant. So he says, yeah, man. At that time, my wife was she was just had our baby, and I was talking about, so how's this been with your wife being pregnant and all that? He's like, man, it's been crazy, man. Like, yeah, they have some crazy like food things. He's like, yeah, that's yeah, my wife, man, all she wants to eat is fried chicken. Like, she loves it, and I'm laughing. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. He's like, yeah, I just thought to myself, I was like, babe, have you been cheating on me? Am I having a black baby?
Wow.
He literally said that to me.
Oh man.
And like, and I'm looking at him and I'm just like, I don't know how to even respond to that. So that's one instance. He had no, like, in his mind, he had been in the environment he'd been in so long, and he felt so comfortable to be. Now this guy's paid for my food, paid for everything to have me come out. So me clearly, and Clear was a fan of the music. He just didn't realize that that's a racist stereotype. I don't think he realized it. I mean, if he did, that's crazy. But there's another situation very similar, and it's another pastor I'm sitting down, and again, the situation is he's bringing me out, and um, we're having a meal and talking, and getting personal. And he's like, and this was around the time I had tore my Achilles tendon in my foot or in my leg. So we're talking about that. He's like, yeah, man, I tore my Achilles tendon, and we were talking about the surgery. So the way Achilles tears, usually they try to repair it with just your tendon. They
Right.
put Kevlar around it, but sometimes they have to use cadaver tissue if it's severed really bad
Mm-hmm.
from from a dead person. So we're talking about that aspect. And I was like, yeah, they didn't have to use cadaver tissue. I told him they didn't have to use it in my surgery. He's like, yeah, well, mine. He said, when I blew mine, he's like, they were telling me that. And I asked the doctor, I said, hey, yo, doc, if you use cadaver tissue, can you use tissue from a black man so I can jump higher?
Wow.
He literally is saying this to me because he was talking about how he was an athlete. And when he tore it, he was like, yo, I told the doctor, I said, hey, if you could find black cadaver tissue, would you use that to, so I can jump higher? And he was cracking the joke, but it was literally, it's racist. Like, I'm like, that's a very
It's
racist
pretty
thing
racist.
to believe. So you think if that person is comfortable enough to have that conversation with me to my face, he's not ashamed of that at all. Then imagine the other things that he may be ashamed of that he believes, that he may feel justified in believing. Um,
Right.
so that's the whole idea of I have a black friend, I don't see color, et cetera, et cetera.
I guess this is more a cultural appropriation question. Like, why would it be bad if a white person, dressed in blackface or did cornrows or tried to show homage to somebody I respect? Like, say I want to be Lil Wayne for Halloween and I dress up in blackface with cornrows and everything. What is the right way or what is the wrong way to not kind of
Well,
fall into that?
the reason why blackface is wrong is really simple. Is because in the past it was used as to caricature black people
Right.
in the most horrible light. So Disney has a cartoon I remember seeing. There's this dark black child. He has these big red lips, and he's eating watermelon, and shooting it like a machine gun out of his mouth. Um, and blackface historically has been used to degrade us. So you dressing in blackface today, well intended or not, it's triggering because that has been used historically to degrade us. That would be like dressing up as a Nazi for going to around Jews and dressing up as Hitler. Like no one dresses up as Hitler and thinks that that's okay. So why would it be okay to dress up like a racist trope and think that it's okay?